Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today it's time for Borrowathon. Borrowathon is a readathon that has been happening quite a few times now. I think it's the 5th time running. And was created by Riley from Figfac and is hosted now by several others whose links I will link down below, as well as all of the information about the readathon and stuff. Borrowathon is happening from May 19th until May 26th. It's 8 days long. Starts on a Sunday, ends on a Sunday. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. And it has 5 prompts, and I will just let you know the prompts before I get into my TBR. And yeah, the first task is read a book that features a bucket list item. The second task is read a book you're in the mood for. And the third task is read completely outside of your home. And the fourth task is read a non-traditional format. And the fifth task is read a book that's set during your favorite time of the year. And finally, the sixth prompt is read a book that features a library. And I haven't told you much about the general rule. The general rule of Borrowathon is that everything you read has to be borrowed. It has to be something that you don't own physically. So it can be books from the library, it can be books that you borrowed from a friend, and all of those things. So I have been participating, I think, in all of the Borrowathons except maybe one that I couldn't. And I've loved being part of this readathon every time I've participated, because it's a fun way of getting to your library books or other type of books that you've borrowed, and it puts a lot of focus on the fact that you can be a booktuber and not necessarily own all the books, and you can use books from the library. That's totally fine, and that's something I definitely also think, and it's important to support the library, and I've always been happy with having a library system that I can use, especially before, when I didn't have economics to actually buy all of the books that I can now. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into my TBR and what I'm reading for. I have planned not to use the prompts as much, because there's no one saying that you have to use these prompts when you decide your TBR. But obviously they're a guidance to some if they're in doubt of what to pick up. But I went to the library earlier in the month and I checked out a lot of books, so I'm going to read from them. And some of them works for the challenges, some of them don't, I guess. But I'm gonna go over them really quick. The first book that I am going to be reading over Borrowathon, because I think it could work for my bucket list item. I mean, it's a bucket list on my reading list because I have to read this. I mean, I haven't read it before. It's a classic in the genre that I love, and I have it out from the library right now, and I've said to myself, this time I'm going to be reading it, and it is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit is obviously a classic fantasy, and it's like the fantasy people tell about, that it was like their first time ever reading fantasy or something, childhood favorites, and I have never read it. My brother has read it multiple times. He's read the Lord of the Rings trilogy multiple times as well. I have never read any of the Tolkien books. However, I've watched all the movies adaptations of this world, and I've quite enjoyed especially the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was not a super fan of The Hobbit, but it was still a pretty scenery and all of that, and some of the actors I really like. So yeah, anyway, very much looking forward to reading this. It is obviously illustrated, as you can probably tell, so it has like full page illustrations along with the text. So I think it's going to be a fun way of reading this very popular story, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this. It should be quite a quick read, but I don't know if it is, because I don't know how Tolkien's writing is, if it's something that's easy to read, because I know that he has a tendency to explain a lot, but I don't know if that was not until the Lord of the Rings book, and this one is a little less heavy on details because it's a children's book, but I don't know. Another book that I chose because of the TBR prompts is read a book in a different format, and I guess this one could work, and it is Søvn og Torne, or Sleep and Spindle. Sleeping Spindle. Is that the name? I keep forgetting it. By Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Chris Riddell. So this is another one of those illustrated books, and it is obviously a different format because it's illustrated and it's not the general format. It's like this. It has beautiful art alongside. So it's going to be a fun time reading this beautiful book. First things first, I have the second part of the Pawn of Prophecy book that I'd like to finish. It is 150 pages long, this one. This is the second book in the Danish translated edition, but in the original format this was one book, and that in Danish has been split into two. So this one is called The Old Wizard, and it is 150 pages long, so I should be able to finish this quite quickly, and the font is pretty large and it's in Danish, so it's easier for me to read. Anyway, which is the same for the other books. And the next one I have is a priority of the month as well, and that is Christine by Stephen King. This is my next Stephen King book, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to this book. I've read the first 78 pages now, and I'd just like to try and finish it this week. At least make a good amount of progress on it so I can finish it the week after. So that is my aim with this book. The last two physical things that I have on my list is my two mangas. I have the sequels to both of them. The first one is Fruits Basket Volume 8, which I've obviously very much enjoyed. This is a lighter sort of manga in my opinion. It is quite cute and fluffy for mangas, and for the mangas that I've read at least, and I do really enjoy it, and I can't wait to be back in this world. And the other one is obviously my favorite manga, which is Full Metal Alchemist Volume 9, and I really love this. This is my favorite manga because the characters are so amazing, especially Al. He's my favorite, and I just want to keep on reading these, and they're really good for readathons because they're very, very quick, and I can read them in between some of the lengthier stuff, or while I'm reading the lengthier stuff and I feel like I need to complete something, I can pick up a manga or something like that. So that is definitely my plan. Finally, I also have put down something that I can listen to this whole thing in while not at home, because I listen to a lot of audio while I drive to and from work when I'm at work. So this will be something I listen to when I'm not at home. And I have two audios picked out from Overdrive right now, and they will be my audios for the week. But I just went and looked, and my reservation for Cersei doesn't come in until another 2 weeks, so I don't think it's going to be there for Borrowathon, which was my original plan. So instead I'm going to be reading, I looked at what I have available right now of books that are from Lala's favorite list, because I could just as well add some more of those books to my list so I can finish this series list up a little quicker. And the both of these books were on a list and they were ready immediately. And the first one is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is a contemporary type of book, I think, and it's very diverse, I believe. I think it follows people of color sort of thing, but I'm not actually sure because I don't remember what it's about. I just remember loving the cover. I think it's absolutely stunning. Then I also have checked out The Wanderers by Hugh Howey or Meg Howey. I keep forgetting. I think I mix his name up with someone else. But this is a sort of science fiction type of book, I think, to do with a little bit of space stuff. And I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. I think recently also I've heard Giselle from Giselle Bradley talk about this book and how this was one of her favorite reads, but maybe I'm again mixing that up with something else. Anyway, those are my plans for the Borrowathon. Definitely let me know in the comments down below if you're planning on participating in the Borrowathon. And yeah, I can't wait to start this again. This is one of my favorite readathons, and they're always really fun to participate in, and I'm really looking forward to getting through a lot of my library books over this week, and hopefully I'll manage to do that. But definitely let me know in the comments down below if you're planning on participating and what you're planning on reading if you are, and also let me know if you've read any of the books that I'm planning on reading and which ones you think I should start out with. But definitely go and check out the hosts and Riley's channels for the original videos and to know more about the readathon. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video very soon. Goodbye!